And here we are once again. Aloha from Hawaii. This is Gabe Morales. And if you like our channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. It's very important so we can get our numbers up. YouTube rates us as far as the numbers of hits and subscribers we have on our channel. Today we have a guest who is doing some awesome work with young people, at-risk people, youth that are currently incarcerated. And I heard about this individual via LinkedIn, and I saw some of his posts, and he just right away caught my attention. I knew he was, with it and really had a good heart and trying to make some good changes in our community. So please let me welcome Mr. Rashad Norris, Executive Director of Relevant Engagement. Rashad, how are you?
I'm doing good, brother. It's good to see you.
Right on. So
Thanks
how's the
for
weather
having me.
there today in Seattle? I heard you in Tacoma. I heard you guys had a heat wave over that way.
Oh man, we about 85 right now. We did have a heat wave,
Oh, okay.
but
You got Hawaii weather
it's
going on. That's
nice.
good.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
heard it was
nice,
going on
man.
like Phoenix down there. It was on fire for a minute.
Yeah, just for a quick minute, especially
Yeah.
back
Oh
east. It
no.
was like
And
115, 118 back east. But
oh no.
yeah, but now
Yeah.
we
And a
sit
lot of
at probably
people
about
don't have
85.
air conditioner there in the Puget Sound area, so that's not good, man. So
Yeah.
so right. So Rashad, tell us where were you born and where were you raised?
Man, so I would just say that I'm raised here in Spanaway, Washington, but I'm born in Tampa, Florida. But my dad was military, so we stayed over in the Netherlands for a little while he traveled. So I was stationed there for a good 4 years, and then we moved here to Washington State. I want to say 88 or 87 or so. So I would just say I got here when I was like fourth grade. So I would say raised in Spanaway, Washington, this way. I did my time at Spencer Junior High, Thompson Elementary, and then Spencer Lake High School. And then I moved over and had a chance to go to the University of Puget Sound, playing basketball over there as well. So I'm just from I'm a Washington kid, man.
Got you, man.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people may be aware, maybe not, but we got the Fort Lewis McCord Air Force
Yep.
Base. So a lot of military families there,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
we also have a lot of I don't like the word saying military brats because that's not necessarily true that they're brats, but
Nah, we
you
ain't
have
brats.
you have a lot of kids rotating in and out, and I
Hmm.
know a lot of times there's pressure to join gangs or get involved in other negative activities because they're considered outsiders. So that's something to remember around military based communities.
Hmm.
Parents, keep an eye on your youngsters, and just so people know, Spanaway then is just east of Tacoma,
Hmm.
Washington.
Hmm.
Nice area, growing area, beautiful area. I remember that used to be all like woods and farms out there, man. I know it's
Hmm.
changed.
Yeah.
So, Rashad, when you were growing up, and you mentioned that you went to, college and everything, and um, did you ever encounter any gang members? Did you know any gang members while you were growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I knew them. They were stayed out that way in Spanaway. We were heavily known for like the blood, Paru blood. So it was, I grew up around them, and I even had people that truly I known that was in the gang life. And one of my good friends that was from Hilltop. I don't have to say no names, but he was a good friend of mine, and he was involved in a lot of gang activity as well. So I've known people, that were in the gang life. I just was something I just didn't choose to do, and I had those gang members that were in that lifestyle. They actually helped me in regards to making sure that I stayed clear from any activity that may have come across I could have came across at a parties or anything like that. So it was just more so, I seen it. I lived, a part of a shooting that happened at my house, due to the fact that I had an older brother. So I was a part of a shooting at the house where they shot my house up, because I witnessed something that, I was with my older brother, and the members of this rival gang came and blasted on everybody's house who saw what they saw or who was a part of it. So, there was something that was the closest I got to understanding the impact of what that lifestyle was. around in the community and so forth.
Right, right.
Hmm.
So you were exposed to it, not a member. You sound a lot like me, a lot of people call it gang associate because I knew people. I
Yeah,
mean, I had no choice. The people,
yeah,
that I knew, family, friends,
yeah.
a lot of them are involved in it, but I never, gang bang or anything like that. I got in a little
Hmm.
trouble. I'm not gonna say I was no angel, but
Yeah.
yeah, that definitely impacted why I do what I do today. So
Hmm.
why did you start, Rashad? Why did you start Relevant Engagement?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been working with young people since I started at the Boys and Girls Club. I was the athletic director. So I always had a wanting to go back and work with young people. It's something it's a gift that I know that I have. And I was aware of it early on in my life. I tried to do the corporate world. I tried to go into that banking side and thought that money, because I wanted money, I wanted to work around money. And my heart just wasn't there. And I got toxic very quickly in trying to make money and damaging a lot of lives along the way. So after I fell into wanting to do what I was passionate about doing, I started the Boys and Girls Club. And when I started the Boys and Girls Club, we always go to, after the Boys and Girls Club, I then ran a program called the Teen Zone that was on a military base. So it was on Fort Lewis base where I was able to put together a teen program for those teens whose parents were over in Iraq or in the war. And so these young people were at home alone, oftentimes maybe with older siblings or with uncles and aunts and so forth. So then after that, I went over to Tacoma Goodwill. After I received my master's, I went over to Tacoma Goodwill, and then I ran a program, or I helped run a program called STEPS, which was a skills training employment preparation services. So we helped young people who were in that lifestyle of maybe unemployment or homelessness, or just unsure what they wanted to do. And we helped them get resumes and cover letters and so forth. And then I moved on and I went into higher ed, where I still reside as the director of community engagement at Highline College, where I'm now in the education system. I contribute to education system to why our young people are so diverted to different things that they go to feel that wanted and that belongingness throughout those middle of the days that we are often hoping our children at a school setting in the learning.
Right on, right on. Well, I know a
Hmm.
lot of people call that, the schools to prisons pipeline. And
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you, why do you think, expand on that a little bit, why do you think so
Hmm.
many of our black and brown youth, black and brown men in particular, not that
Hmm.
females don't get caught up in it, but why do so many black and brown males,
Hmm.
young males, get caught up in
Hmm.
that gang lifestyle and the hustling, either in the, negative type of activities?
Well, I'm always, after doing research on the school system, and then the prison system, the school system was never created to involve or to truly collaborate on what should be in these systems, teaching all people, all children, all youth. Integration is different than collaboration. So if something was already in place there, we just came in and we were told to just adapt or assimilate to what's there. And our young people, especially our black and brown young people, are ethnic, diverse ethnic makeup, especially our black and brown youth, they're just not getting what they need in these institutions. And what they need is something that speaks to who they are. It builds on what's already inside them to bring the best out of them. And we just don't have the proper teachers or the proper individuals in these school systems doing what we're asking, knowing what should be done for our young black and brown young people, students. So that's the number one struggle. You look at the school systems, over 80% of the teachers are white females. Then you look at to break that down, I think it's like over 50% are over the age of 50 years old. So now you're dealing with generational, and you're dealing with a race difference as well. So now the cultural barrier is there. There's no one who's able to connect with them. Either the only persons that can connect with them are either the black coach, the black security guard, or the black cook, so those are the individuals. So our pipeline of teachers, of black or brown teachers, it's not as thick as it should be, or we wish it to be. So now we have an influx of new teachers coming in who are black and brown. So it's just a challenge all around. And then you look at our jail system, you start to look at, the documentary 13th, which is on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, you should all watch it. It really breaks down that 13th Amendment. It really talks about how our black and brown men were criminalized and how they use that system to keep slavery going. And now you see that if you're not being taught throughout the day, which is that 7 in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon, and you feel like there's no connection, you start to deviate and you just start to go where you feel more connected, and you start to get in things that you feel like, you know what, there's loyalty there, there's consistency there, there's love there, as the divine love that this young person may be receiving. So then you just start to get into things that are just not, they're bad decisions. They're not a bad person. You just made bad choices. It's a bad decision. And so we need to look at the overall reasons why young people get into these situations, where I just feel like, you know what, it's been planned, it's been set up. There's nothing there that's in connection to what our young people are asking for and what they truly need.
Right on. Well, you
Hmm.
got me thinking, Rashad, man. I went to school in the 60s and 70s, and
Hmm.
I understand that we got to teach our young people, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But what
Hmm.
books are they reading? When they're writing, how are they encouraged to express themselves? Not just write an essay about something that may not be relevant to them, because they're forced to, write about that certain subject. Uh, Arithmetic. Are they being taught life skills like how to manage a checkbook, how to manage their own personal funds? Those kind of things that could be a little bit more meaningful to young people. In the late 70s, I and my peers, we're united ethnic people, and this is black. I'm talking about black,
Hmm.
Chicano, Native American, Asian Pacific Islanders. Got together and we actually had a major protest. It wasn't violent, but we got our message across because we had a history book that out of 300 pages had, I think, one mention about how Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Other than
Hmm.
that, it was all white history. And so we
Hmm.
got it to where they talked about, Martin Luther King and the civil rights movement. There was like 5 pages out of 300. Cesar Chavez, 1 page on him. You know, how the Chinese built the railroad. That was it for the Asians. And then they talk about Wounded Knee, how the Indians, got done wrong and stuff, and run onto reservations. I'm talking about like 10 pages for the minorities out of 300. We called that a victory back in my day. You understand what I'm saying, Rashad? Because it was nothing before that.
Hmm.
And I understand that progress is slow, but it just seems like, man, we could do a lot more. So thank you for saying that, breaking that down for us, man. I totally agree. We gotta teach the basics, but we also gotta, um, not all kids learn the same. Not all are just
Hmm.
auditory. Listen to the like you said, the teacher's lectures. They
Hmm.
want some hands-on, whether it be in gym, football, basketball, soccer, for the Latinos or whatever. Um, Watching movies, these kids now they're visual. This is the video game generation. We're still teaching majority from kindergarten to college lecture, which for auditory learners that might have been okay back in the day when my grandma was growing up and it was just radio when people learned by listening. They had to listen. They had better listening skills, I think, back then. But nowadays, we got to teach to the way that the child learns, not expect them to learn the way we want to teach. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways,
Well,
this
I
interview is
was,
about you, but I just
well,
wanted to
no,
put that
no.
out there. You got me thinking.
Well, I would just say that, that's a thing that is a challenge too. We say we always want to teach. And it's, to me, when you think about educate, you think about that word induce, it's to bring the best out of an individual. So it's to induce, to educe, to bring the best out of you that's already in you. And our young people, the ones that I engage with, they're already thinking what we think they're not thinking, if that makes sense. They are
Mhm.
thinking about why they're being perceived the way. Why do I feel like there's no connection in these schools? Why do I feel like, I am the only black child in this classroom and everybody's looking at me for all the answers? Or why is it that I'm sitting in these classrooms and I'm not hearing enough about who I am? But I'm not voicing it because I don't have the language to go with what I want to voice. So when I'm in these schools and I'm in with the program that I have, my hero program stands for honor education and respect others. And we're going through literature that we as adults go through on a daily basis when we go to different conferences, we go to different forums, and we learn about anti-racism, we learn about systemic oppression. What makes you think, what makes us think that our young people are not ready for that? So I give that to them, and they're so appreciated over it because now they have language to go with why they feel the way they feel. So when you teach an individual young person about the implicit explicit bias, when you teach them about systemic oppression, systemic racism, when you teach them about white privilege and understand what that looks like, even with our white students who are in the classrooms when I do this, and when you teach them this and they understand why that language is connected with what they see and how they can start to engage in conversations with not only their teachers, but their classmates, it empowers them to understand what's going on around them. And I always say this, if they don't know what happened behind them, they will never understand what's happening around them. Because what our kids are doing is they're turning to the sideways and nobody's giving no information. But if you turn all the way back, you'll start to understand James Baldwin. You'll start to understand Malcolm X. You start to understand Chancellor Williams. You start to understand these individuals who are trying to connect with you for so long and tell you that there's a blueprint right there that just was not given to you. It just wasn't given to you. Carter G. Woodson, who talks about the miseducation of the Negro. If you start to look at that, he breaks down systems before we even get to, understanding the anti-racism and so forth that we're hearing about right now. He broke that down way long ago in 1954, 1960, he broke that down. Even before then, my dates may be off, but he broke that down before then. They gave him one day to highlight Black history. They done went to a week. Now we got the shortest month of the year. And yet these individuals never heard of him. The documentary 13, I got these young people watching 13, and when they watch it and they start to understand what is happening around them, like what happened behind them, and understand about the 13th Amendment, and then seeing that 1 out of 17 white young men are going to jail versus 1 out of 3 Black, brown boys are going to jail. Come on now. You cannot defy the words or you cannot look, just turn a blind cheek, or you can't turn your head away from these numbers that pop up and our young people see and they say, oh my God, I didn't know that. Nobody told me this. I said, I know, but I'm gonna show you this so now you understand why individuals like myself are trying to come and talk to you. So when I come talk to you, don't don't feel like I'm disrespecting your time. I'm trying to help you out. So that's why I get so much respect from my young people, because when I come to them, I tell them I'm Malcolm X. I believe I'm Malcolm X. I believe that I'm James Baldwin. I believe that I'm Martin Luther King Jr. I believe I'm Angela Davis. I believe that I am all these individuals that are encompass who I am, and I'm here to present to you all the things that I learned from them, who are now not only my ancestors, but they're my not ancestors, they're my elders in this learning. They're part of my circle. So I have to share my circle and share my knowledge with them. That's what Malcolm said. Malcolm said, you should be ashamed of thinking that you have all this information and you see your brother or sister walk down that street and that street is dangerous for them. And you know it's dangerous and you said nothing to them, but you rather sit back and make a mockery of them, making silliness decisions for themselves, knowing that you had the answers all along to stop them and say, hey, don't do that. Don't go down there. Let me just show you why. So that's what I do. What I do. That's why I
Right
do
on.
what I do.
Right on. Well, you sound like you're a great facilitator, Rashad, and and the results show that they are definitely reacting positively to the message you're helping facilitate with them. I
Mhm.
always, when I'm dressing crowds, I have to humble myself. Remember that even though I might be the presenter, the so-called teacher, I'm also learning from them. They're teaching me, so I always ask
Come
them,
on.
please teach me too, because I learn something new every day. I don't know it all. I've read a lot of great books, from the Bible, to
Hmm.
to Shakespeare, to books about Cesar Chavez, Malcolm X, as you mentioned. I learned from all these all these wise people, all these people had a
Hmm.
message, something to give to the world. And then yeah, that makes me, who I am. I make up my own ideas from that. I don't have to necessarily agree with them all, but I hear them out. And same thing with young people. I may not agree with them. I say, hey, explain me your logic. And sometimes they will change their logic, and sometimes they change my logic. It's a two-way
Hmm.
street. So thank you for saying that, Rashad. So can you think of maybe I know you work with a lot of young people, maybe a hard case where you thought, man, this guy's seriously, testing my patience, my skill set. I don't know about this dude. He might end up Walla Walla or, Clown Bay or something, but, I'm going to keep on trying. A case where the youth finally came around, the young person finally came around and is doing good
Hmm.
today. Can you think of anything like that?
Man, I tell you, I have many cases to be honest with you, but those are not cases. I don't like to use that because it's not a case. It's just more so I have individuals who made bad decisions, but have obviously learned from their decisions, along with the information that I share with them on how they can now turn themselves to a better pathway. And I've seen it, and I've seen it with individuals who were just on that cuffs of saying that, I was about to go there, but now that we've got connected, I'm not going there. But the ones that are already there, who I'm trying to not get back, those are some challenges just because they have already seen that over there and they already really witnessed and felt a love that is so connected to what they're missing when they get straight, that they think that that's the only love. So consistency is very important when you work with that individual who's already been over there on that side and now you want to get them here. The individual that I like to highlight is the one that was right there, but before they went over there and felt like that was the love, they stayed right here connected with me and they're here. And this young brother, his name is Josias. And Josias is just a strong young man that had that learning disability that they call in the schools and had that kind of unstable family household at the crib before, not having a strong family household at his house. Crib is house. I always got to make sure that when I go to my street lingo, I got to define what that is. So crib, when I say crib, that means the house, that means they're living, they're dwelling. So he didn't have a strong that strong foundation at the house. But this young man stayed with me, man. And I met him in 8th grade. And I remember going to his class and him being that class clown just because he wanted to stand out and he was looking for somebody to stop him and really engage with him. And I was the first Black man that he saw in that classroom. And after I gave him my card, I told him, I said, man, you're not a clown. You don't have no paint on your face. Now, if you ever want to talk, you ever need some conversation, you call me up, Brother Rashad got you. And so next you know, him and I stayed close and he's now graduated. I believe he got his master's. He got 2 books out right now. He's a public speaker. He also has gone into the insurance agency world, that industry. He's doing an amazing thing. We're still connected. I'm a mentor to him. He's my mentee, and we're still connected. And it's those stories that I love to highlight because it was that one who was just almost there that just said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just trust this process and just know that you got a good thing. I'm not here to hurt you. They call me Brother Rashad. This Brother Rashad is not something that is it's not religious. Brother to me means that, you know what, you being a brother or a sister means that, you come to me with the best interest for me to be successful because you're my brother. That's why I say, Brother Rashad, just know you trust that I'm coming to you because I have the best interest of you in you. So that's why when I bring information to you, just know this is Brother Rashad coming to you. This is not just Rashad. And I call these guys players. Now, when I say players, you need to know that this is not a player like someone who has all the females or all the males. You out there playing your game, you out there juggling whatever you're doing. A player is something I got from my father-in-law. And a player, he used to always play me in chess. And he used to always say player. He used to always say before I left, how you doing, player? Watch your six, player. Watch what positions, watch the these pieces out here. So I call these young people players because I let them know you're playing right now in a game of chess. So as a player, I'm always asking, how you doing, player? Like what you see, what's coming up, what moves are being made that you're paying attention to that can be affecting you on your next 5 moves down the road. Like always be looking at this board and this game of life as a chessboard, and always be thinking about what pieces are moving around me and why they're moving more often, and what pieces are the ones that are escaping the board, what pieces are getting taken away, and why are they getting taken away. What traps have they gone to that you know what, they just disappearing. Like shoot, I gotta make sure I don't go to that route, because that piece continues, that piece left, a piece that looked just like that piece left. You following me?
Right.
That piece that looked just like that piece left. So we have to start to pay attention as a player. What you paying attention to? So that's why I say player. That's why I say player, and that's why they call me Brother Rashad.
Right on, brother Rashad. Well,
Mhm.
again, it sounds like you're definitely having some success because of the way you're approaching it, approaching the issues out there, the young people out there.
Mhm.
So, if you were a young person today, and gangs were trying to draw you in, Rashad, what kind of
Mhm.
advice would you have for that young man or young lady? Because we know, females are not immune to a lot of these problems either. What kind of advice would you have for them to try to steer? And you've already mentioned a lot of those, but just to sum it up, to steer clear of those pitfalls to becoming, another statistic in
Mhm.
our prison system or in our cemeteries. What kind of advice would you have for them?
Well, I don't know if I have advice for them. I think I have advice for our communities to say that, you know what, don't talk it, be that light. Like just don't talk about you want to be changed. There needs to be some change. Really going down and really start to engage with the young people around the importance of knowing who they are, the importance of understanding all the different systems and all the different traps that are right there. And I would tell you, be consistent with your message and let them know that you are there and you want to help. You don't want to use them as a case study. You're not here to do some statistic data. You're not here to do some type of study on them, but you are really here to make sure that you help them not just change, because change is inevitable. It's going to happen. I'm not trying to change who you are, but I am trying to change the actions and the behaviors that you are carrying right now that are getting you in trouble. And for those young people who feel like, you know what, I, Brother Rashad, there's nobody out here. And those are the only ones that show me love right now. And I would tell you this, I would tell you, go to your teacher, go to a counselor, go to that coach. If you are in any type of activity, sports, or anything like that, go to someone and start to really ask, like, can I get a little bit some assistance, some help? Like you can't be scared to ask for help. And I use this an acronym. It's called ASK, and it stands for ASK. Always seek knowledge. And I tell my young people, don't be afraid to ask. Do not be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's the main, if anything I can give to our young people, just don't be afraid to ask for help. But when you talk about advice, the advice goes to the community. It goes to the adults. We have to go down there. Those young people are doing exactly what they are only given to do, which is to reach out to those individuals who are reaching back out to them and showing them love, showing them consistency. And most often, the word that always comes up when I ask these young people, what's that word that they're looking for? They say loyalty. Why? Because those individuals have shown that they're loyal to whatever they're going through. They're loyal to the game. They're loyal to their friendship. There's nothing shaking them because they have now found someone who is consistently saying the same thing over and over again and give them the same behavior. So you just as adults and have the community, we have to break that. We have to show that we're just as strong as they are, and our outcomes are just as better. And it shows that, you know what, our outcomes, you can progress with success. You're not going to be progressing wishing or hoping that you don't go to jail. That's not, no, I hope I don't go to jail. No, over here, you ain't going to jail if you stay on this path. You just won't. Ain't no hoping. I hope I don't get caught. No, you ain't get caught. You staying on a good path. So we just got to show you. And so that's where, I just hope that, when you say what's those things we can say to young people, man, it's a community. It's our adults. It's
Okay.
that middle
Let
gap.
me follow up with that a little bit, Rashad, because there's a
Hmm.
lot of people say that, the problem with young people is they don't want to take responsibility for themselves today. What do you have to say to those
Mm,
critics?
they don't want to, what responsibilities for themselves. Hmm. I would say I don't agree with that. I see a lot of young people who take responsibilities for themselves. So I don't know if I agree with that critique.
Okay.
They take
I know
responsibilities.
I know from hearing you talk, you challenge them to question
Yeah,
themselves and their actions.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I think they
yeah.
take responsibilities. I just don't think there's been enough opportunities given to them. Because if you listen to them talk, if you listen to the way they explain things, I know that as a public speaker, whenever someone says, you know what I'm saying, they're hoping, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Hey, you're hoping that I can catch on to what you're trying to say, but you're not really saying that because you have not even researched or done enough to know what path you're talking about. So I got to get you to understand those paths. So now when you're speaking with clarity and you're able to speak it with that assertion that I know what I'm talking about. Like I know it. And I get it.
So
So
what I hear you saying then, Rashad, is provide them opportunities and they
come
will
on,
succeed.
come on, you giving opportunities. Give them the
Right.
opportunities, man. Give them, let them know what's out
The
there.
right opportunities, not
Come
our
on.
opportunities, what we think the
What
way it
we
should be,
think. You have to
something
ask
that
them.
they could succeed at. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you another, because we're starting to run out of time here, Rashad. But man, I could just talk to you for hours about all this stuff.
Ha
And
ha.
by the way, we will hopefully be bringing in Brother Rashad to our October 13th training, Criminal
Hmm.
Justice Solutions. We're going to cover Gangs 101. We're going to cover bullying, which is a big problem in our schools, and now on the internet. The game has changed since I was going to school.
Mm.
Sex trafficking, offender reentry, which I think is probably the worst area we do in corrections, and then criminal justice reform. And Brother Rashad has already agreed to help sit on that panel. And we're going to have hopefully some other surprise guests that I will not say yet until we confirm that, but it's looking good. So thank you, Brother Rashad, for agreeing to do that. Now, if you were talking to a brand new police officer coming out of the academy, and things have changed since I was an officer, back in the day. I went to the academy back in the 80s and became, I was a uniform officer. Then I went into classification, which was more like a correctional counselor, which was my lane to
Yeah.
help people and help them break out of the system and break out of drug abuse and the gang lifestyle and all that. So I did that for 30 years, but still I went back to the academy and talked to the new police officers there in Burien, new corrections and
Hmm.
street cops. So if you had anything to say to new officers now hitting the streets today, dealing with young people, what would that be?
Man, I would say put down the hard look. That hard look, that hard face, that whole tone, that whole beat, that persona that because I got this on, I'm bigger, I'm better than you. That persona, it breeds like authoritative. It breeds like I'm out for you. It breeds the fact that, you know, this is what we continue to see on TV, and now it's face to face. Now it's truly face to face, and I see it. And so it's just so difficult for our police officers to believe to I mean to take off that hard shield and just be human and really look at it and be empathetic in a way of understanding how these individuals who you're now so-called policing or trying to come in contact with as a community, how they may perceive you and what you can do to dismantle that perception by the way you interact or the way you show up in that space when you talk to them. And let me just give you an example. My son was driving, and just for him, for he's learning how to drive, and a police officer comes behind him and he tenses up And it's like, man, and I mean, when I say tense up, brother, it was like I could hold his arm on the steering wheel and he was just real. And I was like, hey, man, just relax, man. Just relax. You're not doing nothing. You're just driving your car. Police officer drives next to him and just keeps driving. He didn't look over. He didn't make no subtle judgment. He didn't do anything to make him feel like he's just following me. Now that's just a small tidbit. Not even knowing that police officer know who is following, but just that assurance that you know what, you didn't make him feel like, oh my God, he's looking at me. And I think that just the subtleness of the way our officers show up to spaces, they just have that tense, they have that hard look. And I would just tell you, as a new officer, man, go in with a little bit more humanity, go in with a little bit more empathy, go in with a little bit more understanding of why you may be looked at a certain way from different communities. You have to understand that. There's no way that you think that that would not be have an effect or even trauma on a community, especially our Black and brown communities after what they've seen. So you have to shift the way you come at our communities right now physically.
Right. Well, definitely, I was a TAC officer at the academy, and the first class we had was cultural awareness, and there was a lot of resistance. I tell you, from some officers never grew up around any Black or brown people, and
Mm-hmm.
we all have our biases and stereotypes. Let's face it. But
Mm-hmm.
whether you're Black or brown people looking at police officers and stereotyping, or officers looking at Black and brown communities, and yeah, we got to break that down. And of course, a one-day class could no way erase decades of experiences in history, and listening to parents stories and grandparents and great grandparents. And
Mm-hmm.
that's hard for a lot of people to understand. Say, hey, you just living in the past, you're bringing up old
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and this is a new day. Well, there's a lot of things that still, like I said, have not changed that much. That the history books might be a little bit better, but we got a long ways to go. I think you'll agree, brother Rashad.
Oh, I
So
agree. And I'll tell you this just to say this too, Brother Gabriel. That's just one example just to do this interview. But there's so much that needs to be done, man. That's just one. The whole
right,
tone, that's just one. But there's
yeah.
so much that needs to be done. But
Yeah.
that's a
Well,
whole
we
nother
definitely
day.
need
That's a
a
whole
lot
nother
more
day.
dialogue. I'm looking forward to
Mhm.
hearing you and the others on the criminal justice reform
Yeah.
panel, because yeah, we got a long ways to go. Um, Definitely, that's a hot topic today in America. How do we treat people? And
Hmm.
is there real justice out there? So that's what criminal justice solutions all about. Not talking. Well, we talk about the problems, but how about some solutions? A lot of us know about the problems. The solution is a little bit tougher. Before we came on the air, I talked to you about be involved in some of these laws that are passed, and are they funded? Do they have any teeth for violating the law? Without that, you can pass all the laws you want, but people aren't going to buy into them, and there's be no repercussions for not following. So yeah, we got to think about the bigger picture, and not just an easier answer. Just there's a lot more things we need to work on. And last question, this is maybe the toughest one, Rashad. If you were a politician, I don't know, you sound like somebody, man, that I would vote for. I would love to see you run for office. We need a lot more people like you. But if you were a politician today, knowing what you know about what works and what doesn't work in the criminal justice system, what kind of policies and laws would you implement?
Man, look,
That could be a
I
whole
don't.
nother show,
That's a
huh?
whole nother show, man. I always been that on the ground person. I think that Washington State Senator Nobles, Jesse Johnson, there's some young up and coming Black and our Latinx Morales, and up in Seattle, there's some nice Black and brown um, individuals who are running for office, who are in office right now, who I have faith and have truly, I trust that we're going there with the effects of wanting to change and implement new policies. Now, do I know that policies right off back? I really don't know, but I know that they're doing a good job of looking at the criminal justice system and the sentencing for our young people, and they're looking at even the homelessness and the housing is really important as well. So So, there's so many subjects, so many things that are on the table, that on the line to help our struggling communities. So me as a politician, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I think I
Well,
love to be that foot soldier, man. I love it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a tough job, and then again,
yeah.
we all have stereotypes about people, and I think politicians get a bad rap. There are some
They
bad
get a
ones, we
bad
all
rap.
know, but
Yeah,
there's also
yeah.
some good people. I also know some people that have run or are currently in office, and that are trying to
Hmm.
do some good things. And a lot of times they're going up against the tide. It's not that they don't have the will. It's
Yeah,
just they're still trying to find a way to improve things. So thank you very much
absolutely.
for those
Absolutely.
thoughts, brother Rashad. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we close here today?
Man, I just want to say thank you for this time, and hope I was clear. I'm always practicing clarity, and so hope I was clear. Hope if anything's that you need more information on, I'm hoping that you'll reach out. That's anyone,
Right on. So how can
relevant.
people get good? I'm glad you brought
Right.
that up. How can people get a hold of you? Do you have a website, or is there a place
Yep.
they can contact you?
My website is relevantengagement.org, and then my email is relevantengagementllc@gmail. And so either way, you can shoot me an email, shoot me something on my website. If you go look at the website, or even LinkedIn, my LinkedIn is Rashad Norris. So it's you can find me. You can find me. And like I
Right
said,
on.
relevantengagement.org. And I didn't tell you people why I say relevant. It's because, if you think about oh, that's a whole nother subject. No, 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 I ain't gonna get into it. I wait. I wait. Just
Okay,
know.
we'll have to bring you back on the show,
Yeah,
my
come
brother.
on. Come
So,
on.
so yeah, thank you. This has been very good. Like I said, I could go on and on, but we have to cut it off here
Understand.
for today.
Understand.
And I know you're out there doing good things, making positive
Hmm.
changes, and I really appreciate what you do, man. Salute to you, man.
I
Thank
appreciate it,
you. And if
brother.
you're ever
I
out here in
appreciate it.
Hawaii, man, look me up, brother.
Oh,
Okay,
I'll be
I'll
out
give
there
you the.
next week. The 2 weeks, I'm going to Hawaii, baby, with the
Oh, what
family.
island?
Well, the main island. Put it that way.
Okay.
Oahu.
Oahu. Okay.
Oahu.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
now,
Waikiki. Hey, brother, let me tell you something that a lot of people don't know. Waikiki ain't Hawaii, it's New York City, but that's okay.
I
You
know.
get
But
it.
let me say this. I'm gonna still get your number because we're going to different islands. So
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I say
yeah.
that,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't.
No,
Yeah.
I'm out here. This is the best kept secret. Big Island. Shh, don't tell nobody. This
Okay.
is the real Hawaii out here, bro.
Okay.
Okay. No
All
fake
right.
luau's, no tourist luau's out here. We,
Nah.
we
Nah.
have a
Nah.
real party with the local boys. Okay. All right. All right, brother. You have a good time.
You too, man.
Good day. All
Appreciate
right.
you.